Hi everyone, and welcome to our Pano2VR 101 Introduction to Variables webinar. I'm Martin from Support, and
I'm Karen. I'll be working in the background here, answering questions and helping out with the Q&A. I'd just like to remind you all to use the Q&A tab. Martin's going to show you where that is in case you're not sure. And for all your questions, it makes it easier for us. And also try to keep on topic. We're talking about variables today. So it's going to be a good one. And see you around. Have a nice webinar.
Thank you very much, Karen. Right, okay, this is the one I've been really looking forward to. I think a lot of people have actually on the 101 series. This is now our introduction to variables. Okay, so I'm starting with the project that we've been working with all this time, and what I want to do is, let's get rid of that. Let's change to the skin that we've been working with. Here it is. Boom. Okay, so this is what we've accomplished so far. We've got hotspots, fancy buttons, and we've done everything else with this. What I want to do now is use or show you how to use variables in the skin to streamline the workflow. All right, now variables can either are quite good. They do help. They actually reduce the number of actions required to do anything if used in the right way, but the word variable was always a little bit frightening, and so obviously in the 101 series we really didn't want to bring this up until we got right into the series of videos where everyone's comfortable with certain elements like the image loader and hotspots and hotspot templates and everything else. Okay, so this is our skin that we've been working on. Okay, so the last thing we added was the video the video element, and so we added a video controller at the bottom here, and we did some other bits and pieces. Now if we look at the hotspot for this, you'll see that what we had to do was we had to have lots of actions. We had to have a mouse click to show the element, the video pop-up, which is this one. We also had to have an action to set the value. So we took the video file path from the URL of the hotspot and we added it to this element. And then we also had to have actions to show the video screen tint. And then as we progressed through last week's webinar, what we did to make it a little bit better, we hid the standard controller as well on button click. So that's why we've now got all of these actions. Now, of course, to close the video pop-up, we selected the video element itself. So that had to have reciprocal or reciprocating actions. So where we hid something on close, we had to show it, and obviously on click now it had to hide itself and the video controller and the video screen tint. So there was lots and lots of actions we were playing with. Now the thing is with the actions is that they're quite straightforward. You can click, they're very visible. You can see that you can mouse click and add an action and do all this sort of thing. So in essence, to use, they're quite easy, but labor intensive. Okay, right. So with all that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide everything in my skin as we do. Now obviously I'm just clicking away at the on the skins tree. If you want to hide everything as a whole, you can just, I'm on the Mac, so when I press Command on the PC, that's going to be Control. So I'm going to go Command A, show everything, and then I can do everything as a whole. So I can right button click and so I can lock everything in the canvas, or right button click and unlock everything in the canvas. But anyway, that was a by the by. That's just another little hotkey tip whilst working in the skin. Anyway, so now I've hidden everything. I've got a blank canvas. What I'm going to do is select the canvas, anywhere in the canvas, blank canvas, and you'll see under the properties of the skin, we've got this variables table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable. So the way you do that is double click. Now you can call your variable whatever you like, but I tend to stick to words like var, viz, op, im, just little tiny brief 3-character letters to help me identify what's going on. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this viz, as in to make something visible, and video. So I'm going to be affecting, or this variable is going to be affecting the video pop-up. I could have called it vid underscore pop-up. You know, it's entirely up to you what you call it. Now this type of variable, now we have three types in Pano2VR. We have numbers, we have text, and we have true and false. I'm going to select the true and false one, and I'm going to set its initial action to false. All right, because it makes sense. If something's hidden, it's false. If I make it, you know, if I want to see it, I make its visibility true. So that's where I'm going with this. All right, so there's my variable. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is open up my point hotspot, or make it visible and select it. And what I'm going to say is, right, okay, I'm going to get rid of most of these actions. In fact, the only action I really want to keep is this mouse click set value, because whatever happens, I need to be able to grab the URL or the file path for the video from the URL of the hotspot and set it to the video player. All right, so let's delete all of these. All right, so that's that. Now, what I mean by this, just as on a recap for those that probably didn't join me last week, is if I close and save the skin, what happened was we set a hotspot for our video, and here is the file path to get to that video. It says resources church.mpeg4. Okay, so basically in the point hotspot, what this does is on click, it grabs that value, so that file path, and it sets it to the video pop-up, so this video element can display the relevant video. So that's what that's all about. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to need an action to change the variable state, all right, or the state of the variable. And that action, that's right to the light, that's not an action. Let's select the hotspot template and add the action. So that is going to be mouse click, and that is going to be set variable value. All right, and the only variable I've got at the moment is video. Now, if I had multiple variables, I could select whichever one that it was, and now I can select its operation. Now, in this particular use of this variable, I'm just going to have the equal. All right, because what I can also do is have other operations. I don't want to confuse the issue just yet. What I'm going to say is, on click, I want to set this variable value to equal true. That's it. That's all I want to do. All right. Now, obviously, when we selected the video element itself, we wanted it to hide things. So what I'm going to do is right button click here, select it, copy it, go to the video element, and I can literally just hide all these things. Just delete all these actions. I'm going to right button click and paste. So mouse click, set variable value, and I'm now going to set that back to false. Okay, so where we are at the moment, when I click on the hotspot, I set that variable value to true, and when I click on the video player, it sets it back to false. I've now got this variable true false thing going on. Now, what you also saw me do there was delete an awful lot of actions because they're not needed now, which is really cool. So how do I get things to work with this variable? If I select, I make it visible in the skin. If I select the video pop-up, there it is. Now, we actually had the visible deselected, and I had an action, mouse click, set visible video pop-up. I don't need to do that now. What I'll do is go to the visible logic block, select that, and I can now select the variable vis video. And I can say, when that variable equals true, make the video pop-up true, so visible true. So it now will show. Okay, so let's do this. Let's have a little look. So when I click this, it shows, and when I click it, it hides. Now, it did show the video as well, because obviously I've still got that action to set the value of the hotspot to it. But you can see that we've straight away taken away all of those actions and actually got this thing working. It's not working as well as it should be because we've got to do a little bit more. Now, we had a video screen tint. Okay, now I've got rid of all the actions to hide and show this, but like the video element, if I select the visible logic block, I can say, when the variable visVideo equals true, show the screen tint as well. So let's see what that looks like. It's getting very close to what we had. Here we go. There's the screen tint and there's the video. When I click it, it's all gone. Now, how many actions have I now got rid of to do that? But the key elements to this, why is this such a cool thing to do? Well, before I needed an action in the point hotspot to show the screen tint and show the video element. And then in the video element, I needed actions to hide them again. All right. But this is the great thing about logic blocks. If we have a look at the screen tint element, you'll see that its state is false. So its default value is false. It's hidden. And we're saying that when this variable becomes true, make it visible. All right. But when that variable is no longer true, it will fall back to its default state of false. So in the old way of doing things, using actions, where I had to have an action to show something, I needed an action to hide it. Here, you just set the trigger to its value, and when it's not, or if that value is not satisfied, as it were, so if the variable is not true, then it will automatically fall back. So not only are you cutting down the amount of actions you need in elements, you're actually cutting down the amount of actions you physically need to do that job. Okay, so if I was to carry on with this, then I've now got a method of making a variable true and false. So I can now do lots of things with this. I can say, right, well, there's the video controller. All right. All I need to do with this is go to its logic block and say when the variable vis equals true, make that true. So now when we look at this, boom, when I now open the video, we've now got the video controller, and when I close the video, that hides because the variable is now turned back to false. When it's false, everything hides. Now, this opens up possibilities, and the possibilities it opens up for me is if I select the controller, which is visible, I can say, well, actually, when the video element is true, I want that controller to hide because I don't want any junk at the bottom of the screen taking away the focus of the video. So now when we select it, you'll see that the controller hides. Now we did this last week, but again we needed multiple actions to do it. No more actions, I'm just changing a logic block. Boom. The other thing we can do with this is if I was to move this over here, we've got the point hotspot. If I click the point hotspot, you can still see it. Could be a distraction, but what I can do now, which is really cool, is just select, hold down the command or the, and just select all of my point hotspots. All right, and I can say when the variable is true, you're not. All right, so all of these point hotspots are now going to automatically hide. So if I put that over there and we click that, it's missing, it's gone. I've got nothing to distract the viewer other than the controls for the video and the video itself. And just to prove a point, if I move it over this side for this hotspot and click here, that's gone as well. So you can see very, very quickly you can build skins with fewer actions. It's just different. And the reason why we didn't introduce it, because someone might say, well, why didn't you do this to start with? Look, it's really easy to do and it's less actions and it's probably clearer to follow. It's because of terminology. You know, it's math, it's using math, we've got math symbols in here, so it is down to the terminology. Anyway, so that's basically converting our video player to using variables. All right. Now, what we could do as well is, because you could say, right, well, I can do the same thing for, say, the image pop-up, right? So what I would do, if this was me, I would say vis underscore image. Again, I would make this a true false variable and have that at false. All right. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is just to show you that, of course, I've got all of my point hotspots hiding with the video, but I might also want them hiding with the image pop-up. So what you would do, and I'm just going to select this one, is just to show you in the, I can add a condition to this variable, this logic block, and that could be the variable image and have that as an OR. So then I can have all of my point hotspots do the same thing. So now if the variable for the video becomes true, or the variable for the viz image, or I could have had viz logo or info or whatever. Any of those become true. Using the or operation, we can hide it. So again, you don't have to have stacks and stacks of actions, because obviously I'd need if we were just using actions as we did before, it would be mouse click, hide self for that hotspot, mouse click, hide info, pop up, hide mouse click, hide HT node and HT whatever. There's going to be lots of actions. This, boom, very slick, very quick. But it's just that understanding. It's breaking that barrier of, it's terminology. And that's, for me, that's the only thing. All right, so this is how we are using our true false. And this can work with anything. You can, with any of the logic blocks here, I could change the alpha, I could change color of things. If the variable of a, let's have a look. What can I play with? Video screen tint, its color is black. Just as an example, if the variable video is true, I could change the screen tint to red. All right, so let's just see that in operation, just to show you that, boom, I've now got a red screen tint. Okay, right, one more trick before I hand you back to Karen to see if there's any questions, and that is, I like to use text boxes as my debugging tools with working with variables. And that's sounds really complex, but it's not. And that is, you just add a text box. So I'm going to call this my DB for debugging. All right, and these text boxes will be deleted at the end of it all. Now, you've seen me use these in the past. This is the button. It's called Insert Placeholder. So I'm going to delete that text. And when I click this, I can actually insert a placeholder to the variable. So let's do the video one. There we go. So now, when I close and save the skin, it's telling me the state of that variable. So when I now click the pop-up, it says it's true. When I click that, it's back to false. Now, this helps you when something's not working as it should. You can create these little text boxes, and these text boxes can be used for the three different types of variables that we have. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to hand you back to Karen and just see if we've got any questions. Karen, have we got any questions?
Hi. We do. We have, so we've got a question from Laurent, and I see something. Yeah. Okay. So Laurent is asking the first, the three first letters of a variable. Do they have to be viz or opt, or
no?
They want?
Sorry, no. They can be anything you want. It doesn't have to be three letters and an underscore. It can be anything you want. It's just, I'm just used to doing this because I was the one responsible for the silhouette and simplex skins. So to try and make things easy when I was debugging this for myself was to say, right, anything to hide and show something, so visible, I preceded everything with a viz. Anything that was optional, where if you went into the skin configuration and you could, I don't know, add a preview image to your hotspot or not, then I preceded all of those with op for optional. So I knew that variable was for an option and the visible one was for hiding and showing something. But you could name these anything you want.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Thomas, for moving your question. That makes it easier. So Thomas has a few questions, and one of them is there a way to find out where a certain variable is referenced in a project?
Not in version 6, but in version 7, yes. We've done an awful lot in version 7 for this. So yeah, lots of debugging going on to help you guys. But I'm going to leave it there because it's just not in 6.
And so let's see, his other question. Yeah, Thomas says, that's great to hear. Yeah, wait until the new skin editor. Well, it's not new, but new features in there. It's Anyway, in this example, which components will be triggered by this underscore video?
What components? Okay, let's get the terminology right, if I may. a component is something I would add from the component toolbox. We're talking about elements. So the elements that I'm affecting with this particular variable of vis_video will be the video container, the video element itself that plays the video screen tint, and the video hotspot, because the hotspot hides, the screen tint shows, the video element shows, and the video controller shows. So it's those. At the moment, you know, how you would have to do this is when you select something, you can see I've got an active logic block here. When you select it, you can see that it's there. As I say, in version 7, you will be able to list and to see what variables are working with what elements, but not in version 6. I think that answered that one.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Sorry, my mouse gets stuck. You know, it gets stuck on the screen somewhere, and I can't turn mute off or something. So, okay. So Mr. Jürgen Schrader is asking, when will we get version 7? And our answer is always when it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. How long is a bit of string? Twice half its length. Is my answer.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's in the nearish kind of future. It depends on which future you're looking at, but yeah.
I would probably go with the first statement when it's ready.
Right.
I think that because there is so much going on with it, there is certainly going to be no rushing on this at all. You know, even the first betas, really, it's going to be no rushing because there is just so many changes. It's going to be such a game changer, I think. So, yeah, no rush. Just be patient.
Yeah, so just to answer Thomas's quick question, so when is 7 going to be done? Well, yeah, when is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Indeed.
But the general aim is by the end of the year, but we don't want to make any promises on specific.
Well, that's far too much. I would have said, but not telling which year.
Which year?
That's as far as I'll go with that, to be honest.
Okay. Anyway, but there's some really nice things are going to be happening in the skin, making it even easier to navigate and find things.
And debug and things like that. So I call it debugging. Again, that's a programmy type term, and that's something I've picked up with working with Thomas and Christoph, unfortunately, because I wasn't a programmer to start with. But there you go. Anyway, right. Okay. How are we doing on for questions?
So Angie is asking, how can I activate an intro video with a mouse click action?
It's not really.
It's not really variable stuff.
No.
Maybe that's what she's meaning with, can
you trigger a video? Well, see, the thing is, it's if you're talking about an intro video, the video's already showing, so therefore, you know, all you've got to do is just click it, and if it's set to play. Browsers that will allow autoplay of media, which there aren't any as far as I know, won't. But if you click it and you've made that initial interaction, then it will just start to play. So, yeah. But we do have in the components forum a component, I do believe, that says how to make an intro video. So it's all covered in there. So, yeah, job done.
Oh, on okay, and in the components forum. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's. Yeah, if anyone here isn't familiar with our forum.
All right, I'll just go to it. Forum.
There is so much information in here, and Martin is Hopkey in the forum, so that's why you'll see us refer to him as Hopkey, and he has built all of these
so you've got,
components, and these are like little super secret sauce kind of things. You should check them out, and they all come with little instructions in them, and, you know, how to use them. And in the forum itself, Martin has usually a tutorial, and yeah, so there's, you know, don't be shy. And if you need an account, you should email us at support@gggnome.com, and we'll make one for you
with your desired username. If I have to guess it, it will be something you really don't want. Right. Okay.
I just wanted to say there is something else with the using when you have one of the advantages to using variables, at least for me, is you don't have all of these actions scattered throughout all those, to all the elements, right? So you can, instead of having 10 different actions on one element and then having to copy and paste them to other elements and then copy and paste those to other elements and then change them according to what they need to be, this makes a huge difference in just adding, like you showed earlier, using the or operation on.
Absolutely, and the other great thing is as well is that they're not element ID dependent. With an action, you say do this, and you're targeting this particular element with this ID. I could actually go in and change video screen tint to just video tint, because that's not going to affect the logic block for hiding and showing it. So that's another thing, is if you go in and start changing names, you're not going to break anything, which is what you would do if you're using actions. So that's another plus point for using them.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
And now we're done.
Right, okay, good, because I want to crack on, because we've got, I want to sort of go on to the next type of variable. Right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of my little helper, my debugger, because we've done this bit and I've moved on. What I want to show you now is the next, I'll get rid of this variable as well, because this was only here for an example, so I'll just click to delete that. But what I want to do now is I want to use this skin for different customers. Okay, so what I want to do, or the achievement is going to be, is to add a logo in the side, say top left, and I want to be able to use a variable, and I'm going to externalize it. In other words, what we're going to do with this is we're going to be able to access the variable's information outside of the skin's environment, and I'm going to be able to enter data into it. So what I want to be able to do is basically, briefly, I'm going to add a logo to the top left hand corner, and I want to externally be able to change which logo I'm going to use and the URL it's going to point to. All right, so, and that's without having to go into the skin. So how I'm going to do that initially is I'm going to start off with an external loader, and I'm just going to call this logo. All right, so that's my external loader. I'm going to set its size to 80 by 80. I mean, what I've also done is made sure that my logos that I'm using are 80 by 80 pixels, because that just makes sense. All right, so I've got my external loader, can do that. But obviously, as you probably learnt from the external loader 101 webinar, we can actually stick in different size elements and just change the content scaling, but I'm not going to bother doing that here. So my logos I'm using for this is going to be the same size as the external loader, which is no biggie. Right, so that's my external loader and it's set. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to add a couple of variables. I'm going to add a variable called logo underscore img for image, and that, as I said, I'm going to change that to a text variable, and I'm going to add another one called logo underscore URL. Now I will say, Karen, if you're listening, please keep an eye on my spelling, because while I was going through this a couple of times, I spelt a couple of things wrong and stuff didn't work for me. So it's like, oh, please keep an eye on it. Right. So,
eagle eye over here.
Yeah,
eagle
absolutely.
eye,
Yeah. My guardian angel, as I call you. Right. So logo im, logo URL. They're both text variables. Okay. So if I close and save the skin, you'll see that my skin configuration button is grayed out. There is nothing to configure. If I go back into this and select the skin canvas where I can get to my variables, I'm going to select externalize these, and I'm going to say this is going to be enter logo and enter logo URL. Right, so when you do that and save and close, and didn't need to do that really, you will see that we've now got these in the configuration, skin configuration, and the skin configuration button bursts into life with lots of lovely colors. All right, so I've now got these two that I've set. So that was the enter logo, enter URL. Right, so how I'm going to do this, right, say this is a skin that I'm going to use for various different companies. So what I'm going to do is, as you probably remember again from past webinars, I'm going to use the assets, and this is the bit that I often misspell and it goes terribly wrong for me. So I'm going to add files, and I'm going to add logo 1 and logo 2. Of course, when you're doing this, you would only add one logo to your project, but I'm adding both. All right. So what this will do is when I create an output, I will have a folder called assets, and inside that folder we'll have logo1.ping, logo2.ping. All right, so those are the assets. Okay, right. So this is what we know about. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is go back to the skin, go back to the external loader, and I'm going to say that the URL for which is the resource it will display will be assets, which I hope is right. Okay, and I'm not going to put logo. Right, okay, because it's going to be a variable. So this takes me back to my little helper text box. So let's just call this DB for debugging. So let's just call this DB logo. So I'm debugging my logo. All right. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete the text. Okay. And again, we are going to use this insert placeholder, go down to the variables and find the one that says logo. Boom. And there it is. All right. And it puts in this placeholder. So I'm going to copy that. Okay. Now, we've worked with placeholders in the past. As we know, dollar open bracket UT close bracket will display the user data title in a text box. All right. But with variables, they need this funny little, well, say funny little, it's the asterisk and then the name of the variable in between. And this will then show the data inside that variable. But not only show it, I can use it in other areas. So here, I'm going to use it and paste that there. All right. So this external loader now will look into the assets folder for this file that at the moment is undefined. So I'm going to click close, save. And when we publish this, we'll see my white external loader. And I'm now going to type in, right, logo 1.png. Click OK, publish, boom, it's there. There you go. So I could go back in there and change that to 2. Click OK, boom, got a different logo. All right, so this is what this text variable is doing for me. The text variable is, I could actually have a button, and I could say to this button, mouse click, change variable value, and then type in a value. So this variable is if you can imagine it as a temporary storage system that can store information that I can pull and can pull out later into other things. Like in this case, I'm using it for the external loader. So with the external loader, I called it logo. Let's tidy this up a bit. I'm going to deselect the background. I'm going to take away the border. I'm quite happy with everything else it's doing. So I don't get the background. So let's have a look. So I've got this nice background. And of course, what I want it to do is I want to click it. So I need it to be like a button of sorts. So I'm going to give it the hand cursor as well. Now this is all general stuff we've covered lots of times before, but it's just to tidy things up and make them neat. Okay, now I want to click this and go to a URL. Haha. So I'm going to add another little helper box. Here we go. Boom, there it is. I'm going to make this one a bit longer because the URL is a bit longer. And I'm going to say, right, Mr. Debugging box, I want you to display the contents of the logo URL for me. Okay, so this is going to be the contents of the logo URL text variable because at the moment it's blank. All right, so if I close, save, it's blank, nothing in there. But I'm going to go back to the skin configuration and type in our website, so gnome.com. All right, click OK. When I publish this out, you can now see that there's the URL, and of course, when I click this, nothing's going to happen because I haven't set the action. So what we need to do then is I know if I select this text box, it just saves me having to type it out. I can just literally copy this. I'm using a keyboard shortcut to copy it, but the action will need to be mouse click, go to URL. The URL it's going to go to is my variable. And I want it to go to blank, so this will open up a new tab. I don't want to be the focus taken away from the tour. All right, so if I do that, okay, I can click this, and that will now open up the website. There you go, cool. if I decide that I want to change the logo, there we go. I change the logo, and let's make it point to the blog page. Click, bang. When I click the logo, news from the gnomes. Here we go. We now change it to the blog page. So using a text variable here, what I've done is I've made my skin configurable for other customers. I can just, as long as I add the images to the assets at the bottom here, I can just use this skin configuration and alter the information inside that text variable. Okay, so that's my text variable sorted out. Karen, have we got any questions before I crack on to the next one?
No, I think, I guess that was clear for everybody.
Excellent.
So we don't have any questions. Yeah.
Excellent. Cause,
Not yet, at least. Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe,
right. Well, in between then, I've just remembered something that would be really tidy this up, actually. So what we'll do is, if I take away the logo, right, and then click OK. Sorry, Karen, I cut you off there. I didn't mean to do that. But
no, you did. It's cool.
If you look, it's still there, even though the logo's missing. When I click it, it still goes to that page. Well, that's a bit nasty, because what happens if I don't want a logo there? What should I do with this? Well, just to tidy this project up, what I can say for the external loader, under the visibility logic block, I can say that if the variable logo image equals blank, then hide it. That's it, job done. So if there is no logo to be had, it's not there. It's vanished. And only when there's logo dot alt2 dot png, only when there's data there, in other words, it's not blank, will it become visible and active. So that was just to tidy that one up. So if there's no logo there, I didn't want any residual, because the external loader was theoretically still there but just invisible, but it was still an active element. Adding that little logic block to say, well, actually, if there is no data inside that variable, then just hide it, which is what we've just done. Okay, so I take it there's nothing managed to creep in or come in since we last spoke, Karen. So if not,
nope, not yet.
I will crack on. Right, okay. This next one is looking at the numbered variable. Now, bear with me on this one. The numbered variable is an integer, or integer if you're English. No, integer. And basically it's just numbers 1 to whatever. They're just numbers. They're solid numbers. Solid numbers? Whole numbers. So there's no points of, no decimal places. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So now that I've got that out of the way, because that was new to me, because again, not being a programmer or scientist or mathematician, that was a new word for me to learn. But anyway, this is a skin that I've built. Just purely out of speed, what I've done is I've added text boxes. Nothing's got any actions in. So there's text box 1. It's got the number 1. I've called it text box 1. Text box 0. I've called it ID 0, and it's got the text saying 0. 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3. None of them have got any. Okay, perhaps it did have an action. They shouldn't do. Sorry. I will delete those. I'll delete them when we get to them, actually, rather than trying to do it all now. Right, so basically, nothing should have any actions. He says, let's make sure I've got nothing in here. Right, I think I managed to delete everything other than that. Yeah, great, cool. Right, so basically then, numbered variables. So again, if you want to get to the variables, you've got to click anywhere in the blank canvas, changes the skin properties, and I am going to call this, I don't know, pop outs. All right, is there pop outs? That'll do. Right, pop outs, and it's a numbered variable, and it's going to start at 0. You could start wherever you want, but I'm going to start at 0. In fact, if I was to externalize it, I could actually enter in the skin configuration a start number. But what I'm going to do with this numbered variable is just show you something. I'm going to just show off-screen elements. So this yellow line here, I don't know if you can see it, but this represents the end of my skin. And so here is elements that are outside of the skin's area. And here I have is 3 rectangles. Now I've gone RGB with these. And these rectangles could be, I don't know, you could imagine yourself, one could be a map element, one could be a picture, the other one could be an information box. So 3 pop-out elements, all right? Now, the reason why I chose this as a subject for doing numbers is because if you've got buttons in the skin and you open up pop-up 1 and it's going to, and you want to open up pop-up 2, what you've got to do is have tons of actions to say, right, I've got 3 pop-ups, so if I press button 1, I've got to close 2 and 3. If I've got to do this and got to do that, and you start getting heavy with the actions. But what I've done now is added a numbered variable, all right? And I am going to say that when the variable equals 1 for pop-up 1, so let's just hide these two. So this is pop-up 1, the red one. I am going to say when this variable popouts equals 1, move it to 10 pixels out. Now, I'm not necessarily going to create outputs for this. We'll just use the skin configuration. And when I click this, nothing will happen, because what I need to do in the button 1 is give it the action, which is going to be mouse click. We're now using the set variable value, and I'm using the equals as we did before. As we said before, we've got different operations. Check out the documentation for the different possible operations for the different types of variables, because they do differ between text and true, false, and numbers. But for this one, I'm going to say, right, when we, when we click this button, I am going to set that variable to 1. So again, I'm going to use my debugger text box. I'm pretty big on this, as you've probably gathered by now. So let's just call this db for my debugger. And what this text box will show me, if I delete that text, this is going to show me the contents of the variable popouts, and it's a numbered variable. So if I do this, you'll see it's got the number 0. When I click the button, it will take me to number 1. And there it is. There is my red. All right, now I've only got a number 1. If I press 0, nothing will happen, because what I need to do for 0 is the same action, but to set. So mouse click, set variable value equals 0. So now what we have is a 1 and a 0. And just to make it look that little bit special, what we'll do is add a transition. So transition effect, so it's going to, rather than go from minus 210 pixels to 10 pixels in view, it's now going to slide into view. So let's just have a look and see what that looks like. Boom, here we go, and we can slide out. Okay, so that's just one of them. What I want to do is do a very similar thing. So I'm going to copy this logic block, all right, close that, and select number 2, paste that in, but just change the number to 2, all right. And again, select 3, paste that in, and change the number to 3. Right. Now, you're probably going to see what's going on here is when the logic block is at 0, nothing's going to show it. When the variable is at 1, only this rectangle will slide into view. All right. So what I want to do now is just make sure that these do have the actions that we want. So that's going to be mouse click, set variable value, and this is going to be for 2. I can right button click, copy that, select 3, and it's already in there because I left it in there from when I was practicing. So yep, that's on 3. So if we have a look at the live preview, so 0, 1, 2, 3, there you go. So we can now change all of these. All right, now that's pretty good. Now the thing is, we've added a numbered variable, and each of those rectangles will respond to its relevant number. So I now no longer have to have loads of actions. And so for here, if I was to keep this basic, it would actually have to have mouse click, change element position, red, and mouse click, change element position back for blue and back for green. I don't need that anymore. I've just got one numbered variable controlling everything. Okay, so that's a numbered variable and how we can use these. Now what I want to explore is the different operations. So on the click up and click down, don't really want to blow your brains here. So this is now all of this is now over and above really an introduction to variables. But I do feel what we can do here is show you how powerful these things actually are. So what I'm going to do here is click this button, so the up button, and I'm going to give it the action of mouse click, set variable value. I don't want to equals 0, I'm going to plus 1. All right. So what does that mean exactly? Well, when I click it, it's going to do exactly what it says on the tin. It starts at 0. When I click it, it adds 1. When I click it again, it adds 2. And when I click it again, it adds another 1. So I'll turn it to 3 and 4 and 5, and we'll just keep on going. All right. I don't want it to keep on going. So therefore, what I'm going to do is add another action, which is going to be mouse click, set variable value. And it's going to be, what do we go to, the min. So basically, I don't want it to go above 3. So regardless of what the min or whatever means, if you can imagine, the up arrow means don't go up above 3. All right, simple as. Okay, so I know I'm making that simple. Didn't want to do that, did I? I know I'm making it probably too simple, but it doesn't have to be complicated either. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm clicking away and nothing's happening. I've gone as far as it can go. So I can actually now add a very similar button to come down. So this button then will be mouse click, set variable value, minus 1. All right, click OK. And this will do what it says on the tin. So if I go up, I can click down, but it will then keep going down. So like we did before, I can add another action to this to stop it going any further. So mouse click, set variable value, and down arrow. So the max value it can go to is 0. I don't want it to go past anything past 0. So when we have a look at this, we've got our click, 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 up to 3, click, 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 and we're now at 0. I can't go any further. So this, is a really cool way of showing, as I say, different pop-up screens, maps, things like that. You don't want all these buttons. You can just have a button here. In fact, what you can do as well is with this is what, right? Okay. If we go to the up here, right, I could say click up, and I could also turn around and say that when the variable popouts equal 1, change it to red. Okay, so what's going to happen here is if I wanted someone to be able to cursor through different pop-ups, when we click this, it's telling me I'm on red. Come down, I'm back to that. So we're now using that variable not only to affect the position of this rectangle, but we're also using it to change whatever the word's going to be. So I could add another expression to this and say variable popouts equals 2, not 22, and that would be, so it'd be green. Okay, I won't do that. Let's have a quick look at the preview. So now when I go up, it says red, now it's green. All right, so you can see they become very, very powerful without too much effort. We're now affecting a lot of things. Right, okay, I've got 10 minutes on my clock. I won't stop here. I want to carry on, and what I want to do is try and finish up, so therefore you can blast me with questions afterwards. Because the next one I want to show you is counting up, but I want to show you it looping around. So when it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, next time I click up, it will loop back round to 0 and just keep going up. And then the down one will do the same thing in the opposite direction. But the down one is the one that's a bit of a head cracker, and I will say that because, I will, because it is, and there's no getting away from it. But it's one of these things that once you're shown, it's like, well, that makes sense, and it's obvious. But it's one of those things that you're not going to sit down and go, I can work this out. So this is why I've left it to the very last thing, because when you replay this video, you can cursor right to the end and double check this if you need to. But what we're going to do then is the roundup. Okay, so how do we do this? This is going to be, as we've started with everything, mouse click, set variable value. I'm going to add 1 to the count. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to count up like we did with the click up. But what I'm going to do here is mouse click, set variable value, but the operation is going to be mod percentage. Basically, it says loop. If you can imagine that you're going word blind and that actually, or you're dyslexic, and what that mod says is actually loop, and that's what it does mean. All right. But it's obviously a mathematical type thing, so that's why it says mod, but it's loop. And how this will work is I'm going to set this to 4. And you're going to say, hang on a second, I've only got 3, so what's going on with 4? What this will do is when we get to number 4, it will automatically change it back to 0, to the very start. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. When the next time I click, which should be 4, it's going to take it straight back to 0. All right, so let's see that in operation. All right, so going up, so 1, 2, 3. Next time I click it would be 4, but it doesn't go to 4 because it throws it back to, boom, 0. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's now, you can click and you can now scroll through and cycle through. Now, how do we do the back one? Right. Okay, so let's take this from the start again. So this would be, I'm sorry if I'm repeating this over and over because, you know, that's the way to remember things, I guess. Right, so mouse click, set variable value. All right. The variable that I'm affecting, popouts, that's important because if you've got loads, you do need to choose the right one and not give a different one another operation. I'm going to add. Now hang on a second, you're saying, why am I adding? Why am I not minusing like I did last time? Because this is the way this is going to work, and I will explain. And what we're going to be doing is adding 3. All right, bear with me on this one. And then what we're going to do is use the same mouse click, set variable value, and we're going to do the loop to 4. Okay, right, now I'm going to open up the preview, and we're going to go through this. Right, so okay, if I click the 1 button, so I'm now at 1, right, now my round down is actually going to add 3 to this variable, right, but I've actually got a loop involved in this as well. So if I'm at 1, think about it, if I add 3, so it's going to go 2, 3, and then the third one is going to be the loop back to 0. So if I click down, boom, that's exactly what it's going to do. Right, so if I'm at 3, or if I'm at 0, I'm going to add 3. So theoretically, if I'm going backwards from 0, I'm going to go to 3, right? So how this will work is when I click round down, I'm adding 3 to that variable. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I click down, I'm at 3. Okay. Cool. And finally then, last word on this, if I click it down again, it should go to 2, right? Because I'm going 0, 3, 2. Well, if I'm at 3 and I'm adding 3 to this, so the first one will take it to 0, the second one will take it to 1, the third one will take it to 2. Boom. So that's my backwards. So I've got the round up, I can keep clicking and it will keep going round in circles, and I can round down. So 1, 0, 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, 2, 1. And that is basically how to use these different operations. Now, as I say, that one could probably get a little bit heavy, and is that really a 101 type thing? Well, hey, you know, as you can see with everything, with demonstration, they're not difficult. And I expect in about 2 hours time, everyone's going to go, what was that all about? But it's going to be recorded. You're going to be able to play it back. And not only that, we have got tons of documentation on this as well. But as you can see, how powerful is variables? And on that closing note, I'm going to say to Karen, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we do. Lauren is asking if there are applications within a virtual tour that use such variables, and that he's thinking like, you know, gaming. And that immediately reminded me of 2 things. One is a webinar that Martin did a few weeks ago or months, I mean, who knows, like sometime in the past. And he made a quiz within a tour. I will post a link in the chat, or maybe Thomas is back there, so we can probably make a post that. This was the most ingenious little quiz, and it uses variables, right? And you showed how to do this.
Absolutely. And the thing is this is the introduction 101 to variables. What this does is opens the gate to you to the 3 videos that we produced, or the 3 webinars we produced, which is logic variables and logic blocks. And we've got part 1, 2 and 3. Parts 1 and 2 take you a little bit deeper to what we've done today, but part 3 shows you how to add gamification using logic blocks. So the whole point of this is to take you onto those 3 videos.
And yeah, the gaming thing was really cool. So I highly recommend it. I
don't know if I can actually.
Maybe you can show it. And there was another game that was done. Also, it's on our blog. Done by Jeffrey Bruce, where he created a whole huge game with just Pano2VR, and he was using almost every single feature of Pano2VR. Yeah, there's the gaming one.
Right, and so basically after this video, or after this webinar, variables and logic blocks part 1, 2, no, hang on, that's from there. So 1, 2, 3. All right, so on this 3rd one, here is the game. Now, this was made out of the variables and logic blocks. And basically what's going on here is we've got a numbered, let me just take that down. We've actually got a numbered variable running here. And the idea is the quiz, it asks you, you have to click on each of these in a certain sequence. So it's asking you, click in the correct sequence, and the clue is, find the bag, hair, and best friend. Well, the bag is red, the hair is yellow, and the best friend is white. So the sequence you need to click is red, yellow, and white. Bang. Look behind you. And what that did was now it makes the hotspot available. You click on that, there's another clue, and there's another set of variables where you've got to click around and find clues and do whatnot. But this was all driven from that. So yeah, this is your next step, peoples. Enjoy.
And can you also show? Okay.
So no, I can do that. Go on. What?
I just wanted to also show the blog post. If you go to blog. Right,
blog.
And scroll down. And there, level completed, Pano2VR in the wild, surviving extinction. This was a whole, it's not clickable.
Okay. But yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. Just make me look dumb in front of the whole planet, why don't you? if you need any help doing that, I don't know. But anyway,
the whole internet is clickable.
But
I think if you scroll down, there's some other pictures, but
I
can highly recommend this game just to play around, and you learn a little bit also as you go, and it's really intense. I mean, it's amazing how much is used there. So yeah, there's some great examples for you, and yeah, definitely check out the other webinars. Yeah. So, okay, Marcus asked, so for example, I can use it as an image gallery, right?
Absolutely. In fact, that's how the image gallery works. What the image gallery also does...
maybe show it. Maybe he doesn't know that there's a component for image gallery.
Let's go back to, actually, the forum, and then we've got the underskins, we have the components, and under there, I put in a components index, but the very first one is the gallery component, and yeah,
even comes with tutorials, video tutorials.
It even comes with how-tos, how to do it. But this was built for version 5, all right, standard and pro. In version 6, we could do slicker things. I've just never got round to updating it, but you could probably apply what you've done to this, to these. But look at that, look, 1,012, blooming heck. Blooming heck.
Well, it's old. Look, it's from 2016.
Yeah, but look, 1,100 downloads. I'm happy with that. Right.
That's me a few times.
Yeah, sit there going click, 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 click. Right, okay.
No, I actually use it.
Right, okay. But yeah, so it's the gallery components in there. But basically, if you wanted to, like with this round up thing, the round up button, as you see, it goes around in circles. What you could do is just add a timer, you know, and set the timer to, I don't know, let's just do something silly like 0.5 of a second, right? And we could say to this timer that when the image is ready, start running, toggle, and then we could say do a mouse click, and we could do a trigger click, right? And the trigger click component is going to be, what is it, round up, so RD, R up, right? So if we now let it go and nothing happens, okay, cool. What have I done wrong? So is the timer, image is ready, toggle. It needed to be activate, because with a timer it's activate or deactivate. Sorry, me being a numpty. So on activate, it will now every second, boom, bring it in. So I could actually just use a mouse click, set value to the timer to 0, and that would stop the timer from working. Or you could do a mouse click, set value, I don't know, of say you don't want half a second, perhaps you want 2 or 3 seconds, like delay, but then you could set that value and then that would work, and instantly you've built a gallery of coloured rectangles. Boom, done. There you go. So that's quick,
really
but
cool.
as you can see, it's fairly. But here, you know, with the timer, all I did was I didn't bother trying to get into the variables, didn't bother trying to do anything. I just gave it the action to trigger click that button. Don't need to do anything else. No, nothing more complicated than that.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think it's not really that these things are all that complicated. It's just having the creativity and to know what you can do. And just by having these little examples like you're showing, you know, it's just enough to trigger some ideas of what you know, how you could use it. And yeah. So
Absolutely. Well, all these skins and everything, I'm going to zip these up and they're going to be attached to the video.
Cool.
So everything you can see here, all of these skins and everything here, all of the examples are just going to be added to a little download that you can have with the video, and you can play with your heart's content in your own time. So
yeah. I just wanted, there's one last question, and I'm really sorry I can't pronounce the name, but they're asking, you know, is version 6, is it not enough? You know, is it, I guess the question is leaning, like, is it not fully featured? And
no, we can do
I would
more.
say no, but there'll be some better things, you know, of course, that's why we, you know, we always try to make the software better and better, right?
Well,
so
absolutely. And, you know, and if I may just, you know, jump in there and just say, look, you know, version 6, or rather the next major release, as I seem to refer to call it, because who knows, time it comes out, might be version 10, I don't know. But anyway, the next major release, version 7, will, you know, it'll have better debugging options. So is it going to have more features? Well, yes, it will. But we're also thinking about, well, you know, because us, like poor old me, someone will say to me, you know, or I say me, us in support, you know, oh, here's my skin, it's broke, fix it, boom, send it over, and they have a look at it, and the amount of actions in there and the amount of variables, and they've just sort of fudged stuff and copied this and pasted that, and it's a real, I can only describe to it as a dog's dinner. But, you know, and I just look at this and think, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if there was some really good debugging tools? Christoph and Thomas. So that's what Christoph and Thomas have done. You know, this is what. So it's not just all about features. It's all about making life easier for everybody. So for you guys, us, and of course, more features, because we always like features.
yeah, but yeah, the thing is making it easy for everyone, and that we, you know, we're all working in this together. So yeah, don't be afraid to let us know if you have ideas or, you know, something's not working the way you want it to. We probably already know what's not working, but you never know. So that's it for the questions.
I've got an incoming on the teletype.
You do.
Yeah, I've got a telex in the back of my room that's got a teletype. And everything today was built with V6. Well, yeah, okay. So everything was built with V6.
Yeah, meaning this is version 6 right here. It's not version 7. Everything here is this is what you have. This version of Pano2VR is what
I just had to check then. I think, hang on a second, am I running? Have I missed something? But
yeah,
and
version
V6
6 is
already very powerful, which you guys have just seen. So yeah, V6 is, you know, is the nuts. So version 7 will be the nuts. And then for version 8, 9 and 10, we'll have to find different animals. But yeah, good. All right. So yeah, but yeah, this is V6. This is current release stuff. This is what you can do here and now. And again, the only reason why we've gone 4 input images is because in trial mode you can have 4 input images. Right, I've talked to death. My throat is just about to, give up. So,
Yeah, cool. So Don just says thank you. Jeff Hanley says mind blown, but thanks. Yeah. So thank you guys. Lawrence says thanks. Thanks for joining us today. I think we all look forward to Wednesday afternoons, or afternoon for us, but yeah, we all look forward to it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dylan. Thanks everyone. That's
right. Okay. So next up then, next week, Pano2VR 101 animation editor. B here or B square?
Oh yeah, animation editor. Yay, that's my favorite.
I'm not so hot on this, so this could be an interesting one. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, you've done some really crazy stuff with the animation editor. So
yeah, well, let's see, shall we? But anyway, right, okay. So yeah, it's animation editor next week. So yeah, please tune in. As I say, it's really great to see all these people or see all you guys turn up. And always thank you very much. We do appreciate it. So on that happy little note, that's goodbye from me.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Cheerio. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye.